Hi, everybody. Welcome to another EduLaunch show. Try saying that 10 times fast. We're so happy to have you here. We have the amazing Lauren Bresner here, ready to share her newest children's book with you. And I'm really, really excited about this one. Super excited to talk to Lauren about what she has here. And so, Lauren, why don't you just give us a little bit for anybody who may be out there that's not quite familiar with your work. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Lauren Bresner. I'm the proud author of And So Can She. I'm originally from New Jersey. I grew up in the Princeton area. After graduating high school, I went to Boston University. I was in the School of Education there, and I graduated with a degree in elementary and special education. I'm currently in my 9th year of teaching. I work as a second grade special education teacher at Meadowbrook School, which is located in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. And I'm also a mom. I have a 2-year-old daughter named Lucy, who the book is written for. And I'm soon to be a mom of 3, actually. I'm expecting boy-girl twins at the end of May. So.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you're just getting it done in like one package.
That's it, the grand finale, yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So I love so much about this book. And I always love when authors write for their own kids because sometimes I feel like authors find, especially in our EduMatch authors, it seems like they find almost a hole in the market. Like I have this child whom I love very much because they're my own, and I want them to be able to read this type of content, and we can't find it anywhere. So is that kind of what inspired you to write And So Can She? Was it just kind of Lucy in general, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it actually all started one night. It was the beginning of COVID. During quarantine, I couldn't sleep. I had so many thoughts running through my head. I feel like probably most people did during that time. But one of the things I'm always thinking about, as a mother and a parent is, like you said, my daughter, Lucy. So while I was unable to sleep, I went into the notes section of my iPhone and I just started writing a poem for her. And that poem eventually turned into a manuscript, which in turn evolved into And So Can She, which, yes, primarily I wrote for Lucy, but now I've kind of written it for all the young girls out there. And I just feel like as a mom to a young girl, soon to be 2 girls, actually, in a world where women are viewed as less than men, I truly feel like I have an extra responsibility to raise my daughters, to know that the world belongs just as much to them as it does to boys. And by writing And So Can She, I really wanted to kind of continuously reinforce the idea that, girls are allowed and entitled to create a space, for themselves wherever they choose and whatever their interests or passions may be, and for that to be 100% okay.
Yeah.
And the book addresses a lot of careers, and it shows girls in careers that we primarily see men in. And the idea for that came from the fact that my husband is a college football coach at the local university here, Western New England University. And him and my daughter, Lucy, have a really close bond. She really looks up to him. And she's very active. She's taken an interest in sports relating activities. So, anything like playing catch, throwing balls, kicking balls all around the house. During football season, I take her to practice. She runs up and down the field. She imitates the drills, that the players are doing. And I kept thinking to myself, what if one day she comes to us, she says, I want to be a coach just like dad. Coaching is a profession that is primarily male dominated. And it doesn't even have to be coaching. It could be something like a firefighter, professional athlete, even the president of the United States. These are all careers that the book addresses. These are all jobs that we see men in almost always. So again, by writing this book, my hope was to really teach Lucy, but really all girls, that women are capable of absolutely anything, and that their gender especially should never really restrict what their interests are, their passions are, and whatever choices that they want to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a societal thing, right? I think people do it unintentionally. I just had a really interesting run in. I was in a hotel. I was checking into a hotel. I'm with my daughter, who's 18, and we couldn't figure out why this happened anyway, because she's very feminine. But she was down. She was looking at her phone, and she had a green shirt on. And the guy checking us into the hotel said, "And your son too." That was his first mistake. Second mistake is he said, "I noticed you were from Wisconsin, and I was going to ask your child about the Packers." But because she was a girl, he didn't follow through with that question. And now, would my daughter have known anything about the Packers? No. However, it was his assumption that she didn't as well. And I thought, wow, that was really kind of rude on so many levels. But it's that type of thing, that sort of underhanded or underlying assumptions, that because my daughter's not male, she wouldn't know anything about football, and all of those little things are what add up to things like are in your book, where people assume that girls go into certain professions. My daughter's pediatrician, she wants to be a doctor. He turned around to her the other day and he said, "But what about being a nurse?" And it's all that little stuff. And I think that if you're not paying attention, you don't notice that it really happens all the time from the best people,
Yeah, and I think you nailed it when you said that a lot of times it's really unintentional. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why books, especially children's books, targeting the youngest audience possible, why it's really important to write books surrounding topics like this one. I feel like if we can reach the youngest audience possible, we're really helping to squash the gender biases and stereotypes from the start. And then hopefully, in turn, that can create a better future for everybody. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I love that. So when, we are talking about, obviously the book is made for young girls. Like, who else would the audience include, do you think, on that?
yeah, so the book is written, for children anywhere from the preschool age to fifth grade, depending on reading level. Most likely a preschooler or kindergarten child won't be able to read it on their own, but it creates a wonderful read aloud for those classrooms, and to bring to light, just like I had mentioned before, these topics, and to spark discussions among students. And although, yes, the target audience is young girls, like you mentioned, I really do want to stress that the book is extremely educational for both boys and girls. I feel like it's just as important for us both as parents and educators to teach our sons or male students about gender equality, in order to create an environment where women are respected and treated equally. It's just important for boys to know about this as it is for girls. So
Yeah, for sure, because they're the ones in some cases that are setting the stereotype, right?
exactly.
It really takes the person who's empowered to make those changes, and that is not necessarily women. So, yes, I love everything that you say. What would you say? And this is a little bit off the cuff question, so forgive me for audience members. We sometimes have our questions kind of planned, but what is your favorite part in the book? Is there like one specific part that you really resonate with, do you think?
There are a couple different parts, but if I had to narrow it down, it would definitely be one of them would be the beautiful illustrations. And shout out to my illustrator, Carolyn Park. She did such an amazing job, capturing the story and the message that I was trying to convey. But I think, especially for young children, you really have to draw them in and maintain their attention throughout a story, even if it's a very short story and only a few pages, like in So Can She. And she used so many vibrant, beautiful colors throughout the story to help draw children into it. And also she made sure that all girls and all children can identify with the book. She made it the characters very diverse. And I really love that, because we're not just looking to target one type of girl. We're looking, for all girls to be able to relate to this and see themselves within the story. The other thing I love about the book is that it rhymes. I've just always been attracted to that. I love Dr. Seuss, Shel Silverstein, all those authors growing up reading their poems and their stories. And I just feel like, especially for young children, we have to give them something that they can remember. And this message is so important. It's something we want them to remember. And rhyme is something that's easy to remember. The line "and so can she" is repeated over and over again throughout the book, and it rhymes with whatever career it's talking about before that. I mean, even if we think about Dr. Seuss, "Oh, the places you'll go," I mean, that is such an important message. How many times do we quote that book or give that book,
Yeah.
to people when they graduate? So I would say, in terms of the writing, I love that it rhymes, and the illustrations and inclusion and diversity that goes along with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love your point about the rhyming,
Mhm.
and that's true. It's just more fun to say when it rhymes. So,
Exactly, and
uh,
it's so easy to remember,
yeah.
especially for little kids, so I thought that that was a perfect way to kind of get the message across.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I even just love the title and sort of the tagline, "and so can she," because it says, like, it's only 4 words, but so
Mhm,
much is said in that little piece. There's the idea that we have to tag it on to somebody else and to help people understand that they can too.
mhm,
And I really, yeah, I love the title, and I love the rhyming, but the reason for the rhyming is awesome as well.
mhm. Thank you.
So we're gonna make sure that people can find you. Tell us a little bit. Like, I know that they can find you in more places than just on Twitter. So why don't you tell us a little bit about where they can find you?
Yeah, so I just created a Twitter, as you can see at the bottom of the screen here. I also have an Instagram. My name is L. Pleat Brez. On there, it has my maiden name and my married name kind of combined there. And I'm also on Facebook under Lauren Bresner. So I have all those social media outlets.
All right, awesome. And then what other resources do you have for readers, or where could they find more resources and the book and things?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are also other children's books out there with, similar ideas and concepts that, parents and teachers can incorporate in their libraries. One of them is called Think Big, Little One, by Vashti Harrison, and that also addresses kind of careers. And it shows women in history that have done jobs that, again, we primarily see men in. And I also think it's really important for districts and schools to really bring this topic to light, especially in their professional development opportunities. I think it's really important, especially as an educator myself, to learn how to address this topic appropriately. It's such a big topic now. And to make sure that, we ourselves as teachers are creating a learning environment and curriculum for students that's free of gender stereotypes. Because like we were discussing at the beginning, like a lot of times it's not intentional, and we as teachers are probably guilty of it sometimes as well. So to really have further our education on, gender bias and making sure we're creating everyone equally in our classrooms.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. We had I work for through the Dell organization. I work for Girls Who Game, which how it gives students female students the ability to take a look at some world problems and solve them through the use of Minecraft. And last season, one of the focuses was gender.
Mhm.
And I had a really good discussion with one of the teams because the way they had addressed gender in a library was by adding in a few books on women. And that's and it's so difficult to have those conversations with girls because you don't want to constantly reiterate that there isn't equality while still addressing that there isn't equality.
Mhm.
And so we had a really good discussion on, is a few books in a library going to make it, more acceptable or more equal for women.
Yeah.
And part of that idea comes from teachers and families and parents not knowing how to address that, not knowing how to answer that. Like what does it really mean? And so I think that this book is a fantastic way to start those conversations and to talk about why these conversations are important in a way that's fun and delightful and colorful and all the things of a children's book. So
Absolutely. It's such a difficult topic to address, especially with little ones. So hopefully
yep.
my book can get out there to both schools and homes, and it could be discussed, like you said, in a bright and fun way with both girls and boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lauren, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you tonight. And as usual, you are such a sweetheart. I absolutely love talking to you anytime we do. And for everybody else, just so you know, you can find Lauren's book on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes & Noble. You can find, and so can she, on edumatchpublishing.com. If you are interested in bulk orders, you can order a bulk of her books and we give discounts at 10 plus books only. So you only have to order 10 books in order to get a discount. And that, I really encourage you to look up Lauren's book and to read the back of it and to take a look at the absolutely beautiful illustrations that her illustrator has provided. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And I hope that you have an amazing night. And Lauren, congratulations on your launch.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Take care. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.